My dear brothers and sisters, every single one of us is on a journey not just through this world, but toward our ultimate return. And along this path, there is something powerful, something life-changing that many of us neglect: reflection. Take a moment and ask yourself, when last did I sit alone and truly think about my life? Not scrolling, not distracted, but sincerely asking, where am I heading? You see, growth begins the day you become honest with yourself. We all have shortcomings, every one of us. But the difference between those who rise and those who remain stuck is simple. The willingness to admit, I need to improve. And that admission is not weakness, it is strength. Sometimes we make mistakes and shaitan comes to us whispering, you're too far gone. But remember this, as long as you are breathing, your story is not over. Your Lord is still giving you time. And that time is a gift. So don't let your past chain you down. Let it teach you. If you slipped yesterday, stand up today. If you failed before, try again now. Because the most beloved deeds are not the biggest, they are the most consistent. A small step every day, a better prayer, a kinder word, a moment of patience. These are the actions that slowly transform your heart. But none of this works without sincerity. Ask yourself, why am I changing? Is it for people, for praise? Or is it for the one who sees you when no one else does? When your intention is pure, even the smallest effort becomes Arabic teen, Arabic thought, Arabic Farsi, ya Arabic meme. Great. And my dear brothers and sisters, remember this self-improvement is not just about becoming better in the dunya. It's about becoming closer to Allah. Because real success is not how people see you. It is how you stand before your Creator. So reflect, improve. Take that first step today and never underestimate what you can become with the help of Allah. May Allah grant us the ability to see our faults, to correct them, and to become the best versions of ourselves. Ameen. Self-accountability is one of the most powerful tools a believer can develop, yet it is often the most neglected. We live in a time where it is easy to point fingers, to blame circumstances, to justify our actions, but real growth begins the moment you pause and turn inward, asking yourself some uncomfortable but necessary questions. Ask yourself, what have I done today that brought me closer to Allah? And what have I done that distanced me? That question alone can change your life if you answer it honestly. You see, a person who holds themselves accountable does not wait for others to correct them. They don't need constant reminders from people because they have built a system within their own heart. At the end of the day, they sit quietly and reflect, not to criticize themselves harshly, but to understand themselves better. And this is important. Self-accountability is not about destroying your self-worth. It is about building awareness. There is a difference between saying, I am a failure, and saying, I made a mistake and I can do better. One breaks you, the other builds you. Many of us fear reflection because we are afraid of what we might find. We know there are habits we haven't fixed, responsibilities we've ignored, actions we regret. But ignoring them does not make them disappear. In fact, it allows them to grow silently until they become part of who we are. Facing yourself requires courage. It means admitting that you are not perfect and you were never meant to be. But it also means recognizing that you have the ability to improve. When you begin to hold yourself accountable, something shifts. You become more conscious of your actions. Before you speak, you think. Before you act, you reflect. You start asking yourself, is this pleasing to Allah? Is this beneficial? Is this worth it? And slowly, your decisions begin to change. Even the smallest habits come under your awareness. How you spend your time, how you treat others, what you say when you are angry, what you do when no one is watching. These are the moments that define you, and self-accountability brings them into focus. And yes, there will be days when you fall short. Days when you look back and realize you could have done better. Do not let that discourage you. In fact, that realization is a blessing. Because the worst state is not making mistakes, the worst state is becoming blind to them. A believer who recognizes their faults is already on the path to improvement. Why? Because awareness leads to action. Once you see the problem, you can begin to fix it. Make it a habit. Every day, even if it is just for a few minutes, sit with yourself. Review your day. Be honest. Where did you succeed? Thank Allah for it. Where did you slip? Ask for forgiveness and make an intention to improve. This daily practice may seem small, but over time, it transforms your entire life. It keeps your heart awake. It prevents you from becoming careless. It reminds you that you are responsible for your choices. And remember, the goal is not to become perfect overnight. The goal is to become better than you were yesterday. Because in the end, no one else will answer for you. No one else will carry your deeds. It will be you standing alone, accountable for every action. So start now. Before you sleep tonight, take a moment. Reflect, be honest, and take one step toward becoming the person you are meant to be. Recognizing your flaws is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign that your heart is alive. The one who cannot see their own faults is far more lost than the one who sees them clearly. but struggles to fix them. Yet at the same time, there is a balance that must be maintained. You acknowledge your shortcomings, but you do not lose hope in the mercy of Allah. Many people fall into one of two extremes. Either they ignore their flaws completely, convincing themselves that they are fine as they are, or they become so overwhelmed by their mistakes that they begin to believe they are beyond repair. Both paths are dangerous. One leads to arrogance and the other leads to despair. And neither brings you closer to Allah. The believer walks a middle path, a path of honesty and hope. You look at yourself and you admit, I have weaknesses, there are things I need to change. But at the same time, you remind yourself, my Lord is most merciful and He has not abandoned me. This balance is what keeps you moving forward. When you recognize your flaws, it should not crush you, it should wake you up. It should push you toward improvement, not paralyze you with guilt. Because guilt, when used correctly, is actually a gift. It is a signal that something within you still cares, that your heart has not become numb. But Shaitan has a way of twisting even something good into something harmful. He takes your awareness of your sins and turns it into hopelessness. He whispers, look at you. You keep making the same mistakes. What's the point of trying? And slowly, a person begins to believe that change is impossible. This is where you must be careful, because losing hope in Allah's mercy is far more dangerous than the sin itself. No matter what you have done, no matter how many times you have fallen, as long as you are breathing, the door of return is open. Your flaws do not define your final destination. They are simply part of your journey. Think about it, every human being has flaws. Even the best among us struggled. But what made them Arabic Alif, Arabic Lam, Arabic Narabic Tat, Arabic Het, Arabic Mim was not that they were perfect, but that they constantly turned back to Allah. So when you see your faults, do not run away from them. Face them, name them, understand them. But do not let them convince you that you are worthless. Instead, let them remind you of your need for Allah. Because the more you recognize your imperfections, the more you realize how dependent you are on His guidance, His forgiveness, His help. And that realization is powerful. It softens your heart. It humbles you. It brings you closer to sincere Arabic teen, Arabic Ba, Arabic Tal, Arabic letter 61. And sometimes the very flaw you are struggling with becomes the reason you build a deeper connection with Allah than someone who never faced that struggle. So do not despise your weaknesses to the point where you hate yourself. Rather, see them as areas of growth, areas that need attention, patience, and effort. Change does not happen instantly. It takes time. It takes repeated effort. And yes, it may take multiple failures along the way. But every time you try again, you are moving forward, even if it doesn't feel like it. Be gentle with yourself, but do not become complacent. Hold yourself accountable, but do not destroy your hope. Because a believer lives between two feelings: awareness of their flaws and hope in the mercy of Allah. And as long as those two remain balanced, you will never truly be lost. Mistakes are an inevitable part of being human. No matter how careful you try to be, no matter how strong your intentions are, you will slip at times. But the real question is not whether you make mistakes. The real question is what you do after them. There are people who allow their mistakes to define them. One failure, one wrong decision, and they begin to see themselves through that lens forever. They carry it like a burden, constantly reminding themselves of what went wrong until it drains their motivation to try again. And then there are those who take that same mistake and turn it into a Arabic Noon, Arabic Kaf, Arabic Tat, Arabic Tamar Buta, Arabic Ta, Arabic Het, 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 Arabic Het. The difference lies in perspective. When you make a mistake, you have two choices. You can either let it break you or you can let it build you. And building yourself begins with reflection. Not denial, not excuses, but honest reflection. Ask yourself, what led me to this? What could I have done differently? What can I learn from this experience? Because every mistake carries a lesson. Sometimes it teaches you about your weaknesses. Sometimes it exposes an environment that is not good for you. Sometimes it shows you the consequences of rushing, of ignoring guidance, or of following desires without thinking. These lessons are valuable, far too valuable to be wasted on regret alone. Regret on its own does not change anything. But reflection combined with action can transform your future. And understand this clearly. A mistake does not erase your worth. It does not cancel your ability to become better. In fact, many of the strongest, most sincere individuals are those who have made mistakes and learned deeply from them. Their past did not stop them, it shaped them. But there is a condition. You must be willing to take responsibility. It is easy to blame others, to say it wasn't my fault, or I was influenced, or the situation made me do it. While circumstances do play a role, growth begins when you say, I could have done better. That statement alone puts you back in control of your life. Once you accept responsibility, you can begin to make changes. Small, practical changes. If a certain habit led you to that mistake, work on replacing it. If certain people or environments pulled you in the wrong direction, create distance. If lack of knowledge caused you to slip, seek understanding. This is how mistakes become stepping stones instead of stumbling blocks. And then comes one of the most important parts, turning back to Allah. Every mistake should bring you closer to Him, not further away. When you fall, it should push you to make sincere Arabic ta Arabic Arabic letter 6C1, to raise your hands and ask for forgiveness with a heart that truly wants to change. There is something beautiful about a person who returns to Allah after a mistake, broken but sincere. That moment of humility, that realization of need, is something incredibly powerful. It softens the heart and strengthens the connection with your Creator. And sometimes a single sincere return can elevate you more than years of routine actions done without reflection. So do not let your mistakes go to waste. Do not allow them to become chains that hold you back. Instead, let them become fuel for your growth. Every time you fall, rise again, but rise with more awareness, more strength, and more determination than before. Because the goal is not to live a life without mistakes that is impossible. The goal is to become someone who learns, who grows, and who continuously moves forward. And if you can do that, then even your mistakes will become part of your success. Sincerity is the foundation of every action, and intention is what gives that action its true value. Two people may do the exact same thing on the outside, yet in the sight of Allah, their actions can be completely different. Why? Because of what lies within the heart. Ask yourself honestly, why do I do what I do? It is a simple question, but it carries deep weight. Sometimes we pray, we help others, we speak kindly, we strive to improve, but if we look closely, we may find that part of it is driven by the desire to be seen, to be appreciated, to be acknowledged. And while that feeling is human, it can slowly corrupt the purity of our actions if we are not careful. Sincerity means that even if no one sees you, you would still do the same Arabic teen, Arabic meme, Arabic lamb. Even if no one praises you, you would still continue. Because your goal is not people, your goal is Allah. And this is not something that is achieved once and for all. It is something you constantly work on. Intention can change quickly. You may begin something sincerely, and along the way, your heart may shift. That is why it is important to keep checking yourself again and again. Before you act, ask yourself, why am I doing this?
While you are doing it, remind yourself,
who am I doing this for? And after you have done it, reflect.
Was my intention pure? This constant awareness protects your actions from becoming empty. Because without sincerity, even the greatest actions lose their Arabicate. They may look impressive to people, but they carry little weight where it truly matters. On the other hand, a small action done purely for Allah can become Arabic tat, Arabic Farsi da, Arabic meme beyond what you can imagine. A quiet prayer in the Arabic alif, Arabic alif, Arabic alif, Arabic lam, Arabic lame, Arabic lame, Arabic lame, Arabic laf, Arabic letter 6C1. A moment of patience when no one is watching. These are the actions that are built on sincerity. They are not performed for display. They are between you and your Creator. And there is something deeply powerful about that privacy. It builds a connection that is real, not dependent on the opinions of others. But sincerity also requires honesty with yourself. It means admitting when your intention is mixed and making the effort to purify it. Not ignoring it, not justifying it, but actively working to correct it. Sometimes you may feel discouraged when you realize your intentions are not as pure as you hoped, but do not let that stop you. Recognizing the problem is the first step toward fixing it. Continue doing good, but work on your heart at the same time. And remember, sincerity is not about being perfect. It is about being genuine. It is about striving to align your actions with your purpose, even if you struggle along the way. When your intention is for Allah, even your daily activities can become acts of worship. Your work, your studies, your responsibilities, when done with the right mindset, they all carry reward. You begin to live a life of purpose, where everything you do has meaning. And perhaps one of the greatest benefits of sincerity is the peace it brings. When you are no longer chasing the approval of Arabic alif, Arabic lam, Arabic noon, Arabic alif, Arabic sin, you free yourself from a heavy burden. You are no longer constantly worried about how you are perceived, because you know who you are doing it for. That clarity simplifies your life. So protect your intention. Nurture it. Keep returning to it. Because in the end, it is not the quantity of your actions that will define you, but the sincerity behind them. Consistency is one of the most overlooked keys to real change. Many people begin their journey of self-improvement with a surge of motivation. They want to fix everything at once, change overnight, become the best version of themselves immediately. But that kind of approach, although it feels powerful in the beginning, often does not last. The reality is simple. Big sudden changes are difficult to sustain, but small, consistent actions have the power to transform your life. Think about it. If you try to do everything at once, you may last a few days, maybe a week, but then the energy fades, the routine breaks, and slowly you return to where you started. This is not because you are weak, but because you tried to carry more than you could handle at once. Real growth is gradual. It is waking up every day and making the choice to take one step forward, no matter how small that step may seem. It is about building habits that stay with you, not bursts of effort that disappear. A single sincere prayer on time, done consistently, is far more powerful than occasional Arabic teen, Arabic ba, Arabic talif, Arabic talif, Arabic talif, Arabic latir 6C1, done in large amounts, but without stability. A few minutes of reflection every day can have a deeper impact than hours of thinking done once and then forgotten. Consistency builds discipline, and discipline is what carries you forward when motivation disappears. Because there will be days when you do not feel like improving. Days when you feel tired, distracted, or overwhelmed. On those days, if you rely only on motivation, you will stop. But if you have built consistency, you will continue even if it is at a slower pace. And that is what matters. Continuing. Do not underestimate the value of small actions. They may seem insignificant in the moment, but over time they accumulate. They shape your character, your habits, your mindset. A kind word every day turns you into a kind person. Lowering your gaze consistently strengthens your self-control. Being honest in small matters builds integrity in larger ones. This is how transformation happens, not in a single moment, but over many small repeated actions. But consistency also requires patience. You may not see immediate results. You may feel like you are putting in effort without visible change. This can be discouraging if you expect quick outcomes. However, understand this. Growth is often happening beneath the surface before it becomes visible. Just like a seed takes time to grow before it breaks through the soil, your efforts are developing within you, even if you cannot see them yet. If you remain consistent, the results will come. Another important point is this. Consistency does not mean perfection. You will have days where you fall short. Days where you miss your routine, where you slip back into old habits. That does not mean you have failed. The key is to return quickly. Do not let one bad day turn into a bad week, or a bad week turn into a complete Arabicta, Arabiqua, 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 Arabiqua. Pick yourself up and continue from where you left off. Consistency is not about never falling, it is about always getting back up. And remember, Allah does not expect perfection from you. What matters is your effort, your sincerity, and your persistence. Even small deeds, when done regularly, are beloved. So instead of aiming to do everything at once, focus on building a few good habits and protecting them. Let them grow steadily. Let them become part of who you are. Because in the end, it is not the intensity of what you do occasionally that shapes your life, but the consistency of what you do every single day. True closeness to Allah is not something that happens by accident, nor is it something that is achieved through words alone. It is a journey of the heart, a gradual process of turning back again and again, until your entire life begins to revolve around Him. Many people think that becoming close to Allah requires perfection. They imagine that they must first fix every flaw, remove every sin, and reach a certain level before they can feel near to Him. But that is not how the relationship works. Closeness to Allah is built through return, not perfection. It is built every time you fall and stand back up, every time you forget and then remember, every time you drift away and then come back, even if you feel ashamed or unworthy. The most beloved state to Allah is not the one who never sins, but the one who, when they sin, they return quickly with a broken heart and sincere regret. Because that return shows dependence. It shows humility. It shows that you recognize you cannot survive spiritually without your Creator. And this recognition is the beginning of true connection. Closeness to Allah is also built through awareness. When you begin to realize that Allah is with you in every moment, when you are alone, when you are speaking, when you are silent, when you are struggling, that awareness changes your behavior. You become more careful with your actions, not because someone is watching, but because you know you are never truly alone. This awareness does not come instantly. It is developed through remembrance, through prayer, through reflection, and through constant turning back to Him. Sometimes life becomes heavy. You may feel distant, distracted, spiritually low. In those moments, do not assume that you are rejected. Feelings are not always indicators of reality. The door is still open. The connection is still available. You simply need to reach out again. Even the act of saying Ya Allah with sincerity can begin to rebuild what feels broken inside. And the beautiful thing is, Allah does not demand that you come perfectly. He asks you to come sincerely. Even if your heart is scattered, even if your life is not in order, even if you feel like you have nothing to offer, just come. Because coming itself is an act of faith. As you continue to draw closer to Allah, something changes within you. Your priorities begin to shift. Things that once felt essential lose their importance. Things that once seemed small become meaningful. Your heart starts to find peace not in the approval of people, but in the remembrance of your Lord. This is the peace that cannot be bought, cannot be faked, and cannot be replaced. But it requires effort. It requires struggle. It requires letting go of distractions that pull your heart away. It requires choosing prayer even when you are tired, choosing remembrance even when you are busy, choosing repentance even when you feel distant. These small choices, repeated over time, build a strong connection. And the more you strive, the more you will realize something important. Allah was never far from you. You were simply distracted. And every step you take toward Him is met with greater mercy, greater forgiveness, and greater love than you can imagine. So keep returning, keep trying, keep speaking to Him in your own words, in your own moments, in your own struggles. Because true success is not measured by how flawless your journey is, but by how consistently you return to the one who never turns you away. In the end, this journey of reflection and self-improvement is not about becoming flawless, and it was never meant to be. It is about becoming aware, becoming sincere, and continuously returning to the one who created you. You will have moments of strength and moments of weakness, moments of clarity and moments of confusion, but through all of it, the door of mercy remains open. What truly defines a person is not the mistakes they make, but how they respond after those mistakes. Do they give up on themselves, or do they rise again with more humility and determination? Do they turn away, or do they turn back? Self-accountability keeps your heart awake. Recognizing your flaws keeps you grounded. Turning mistakes into lessons keeps you growing. Sincerity gives your actions meaning. Consistency shapes your character, and closeness to Allah gives your life purpose and peace. When these qualities come together, a person begins to change from within, not for the approval of people, but for the pleasure of their Creator. And that is the deepest form of transformation. So never see your journey as finished or your struggles as a sign of failure. See them as part of your path. Every step you take toward improvement, no matter how small, is still progress. And every time you return to Allah, no matter how far you feel you've gone, you are still moving in the right direction. At the end of everything, what matters is not how perfectly you lived, but how sincerely you tried, how often you returned, and how close you became to Allah in the process. And if you hold on to that, then no matter where you start, your ending can still be beautiful.